hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for Roofing Contractors Best of Success podcast show, and welcome to Legal Insights. I'm Jill Bloom, group publisher of Roofing Contractor, and always honored and thrilled to welcome Trent Cotney, partner with Adams and Reese, our legal expert. So, Trent, thank you so much for joining me.
Jill, it's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, there's a lot going on in the world today, all kinds of crazy changes and technology coming up, but we were just talking about Chat GPT, and it is fascinating what it can do, but it's also a little bit scary what it can do. But what should contractors know about Chat GPT if they haven't even tried it out yet? What's the ups and downs of Chat GPT?
Yeah, so first let's talk about what Chat GPT is.
Yeah.
So it's like a language. Best way to describe it is it's a language processing tool. It was developed by OpenAI. I think it was probably fourth quarter last year, and it's incredibly intuitive. So right now, if you have Android or Apple phones or whatever, and you go to their stores, there's a variety of apps that use Chat GPT that can be downloaded, and you can insert all kinds of stuff. You can say, you can ask a question. You can ask it to do things, and you can ask it to, for example, if you wanted it to write a poem, you could say, write a poem on this subject, and it'll write it for you, right? What's interesting about it is how human-like it is, and it has the capability to understand and generate human-like responses within seconds. Okay. The thing that has sparked a lot of controversy is everything from data protection to infringement to confidentiality to plagiarism to bias to, there's all these different issues floating around. And obviously I think we can kind of tackle some and talk about some of them during this time here. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also interesting to help every business out there that's listening. What should they probably need to come up with a policy, but what should that policy be? And I think everybody probably needs to try to understand it and what it's going to do, could possibly do for their business. But
yeah.
What should a policy look like as you come up with any new technology, just not this one, but.
Yeah. So the question is, if it is not if your employees are using Chat GPT, because even if they aren't, you should probably consider having a policy about it. But
right.
For example, is it can auto-generate text message responses that sound human-like. It can auto-generate email responses with a click of a button. And so, we've already had situations where customer service people or salespeople are using it, sometimes very effectively. But again, the concerns that I would want to reflect in any policy is, how is data protected? When can it be used and when can it not be used, or should it not be used at all? And then obviously, there's concerns about confidentiality, infringement, those types of things that you've got to kind of pay attention to. One of the questions I got, especially from forward-thinking contractors, is whether we should ban it altogether. It's certainly something that you can insert in a policy and say it's prohibited. But I can tell you that especially sales and customer service people that have high volume email responses or high volume communications, they're going to be using it because it cuts time and it will respond intuitively. So those are sort of the big challenges as far as when you can use it and how you can use it. The bigger concern, I think we're kind of facing, and we've heard news here recently, Jill, from Elon Musk and others, is the overall concern that this type of technology, that maybe not Chat GPT, but maybe a successor, may exceed our ability to control it. The AI is becoming so enhanced, so developed, that pretty soon it becomes its own content generator. It's hard, it's impossible to distinguish it from a real response. So a lot of people confuse Chat GPT. They think it's like a chat, like if you go to a website and there's a chat function. it's built like that, but that's not what it is, right? It provides answers to questions, or can write things for you, that kind of stuff. So I think what's interesting is what does the future hold for this? How is it going to be? How are we going to work hand in hand with AI? Is it going to be an efficient tool, or is it going to create a lot more problems because authorship becomes sort of difficult to determine, when you have
Yeah.
computers writing that kind of stuff. So,
Well, right. Like what I was telling you earlier, I had a friend of mine who used Chat GPT to write their LinkedIn profile, and it was spot on
mhm.
with one small little edit. And I talked to somebody else who said that they had their like you were saying, it was automatically responding to emails.
This,
And
Jill, that's a great point, and I want to mention this. Every so often, if you look back through history, there's the development of some invention that is a huge leap in technology. I think about like the iPhone. When the
right,
iPhone 1 came out, you're like, holy cow, because you could see what the future was there. We went from the flip phones and the phones with the antennas to all of a sudden the smartphone. And then people started understanding, okay, this will be my computer in the future, right? This,
right.
this is everything. This is my desktop now. It's this handheld device. I feel kind of the same way with this thing. It is so Chat GPT and similar type AI. It is so far advanced from anything else that I've seen that you can see how it's going to take over a lot of marketing, a lot of advertising, a lot of content production. It I could see it infiltrate almost every aspect of a typical business. And putting some controls or collars around that probably is a good idea. So I'm not opposed to maybe putting the brakes on a little bit so that we can figure out how to implement it appropriately. Otherwise, it will get so far out that we won't be able to pull it back in.
Right. Yeah, it definitely needs to, yeah. And how do you do that? Because how do you know? I guess that was one of the questions that I had, is if you have people in your company that are already using it, let's just say for as simple as email replies.
Mhm.
And how do you know if it's Chat GPT, if it's really them?
Yeah. I had a friend of mine that is does graphic design artwork, and they said it's almost they have an AI program that will generate artwork, and it's very difficult to determine, if people are actually creating this or if this is AI creating it. So
Yeah,
they'll get resumes from people, and they're uncertain if there's no way to really tell whether the work is AI generated or if it's human
yeah,
generated. And it's changing how we look at content and the production of it.
yeah. It's going to be really interesting. So I guess what's your suggestion right now, Trent, for if I'm a business owner, where do you start just to even not understand it, number one, but number two, how do you even try to control it within your company?
So I think it has a role, and I think it could be an incredibly useful tool for customer service and sales. It could potentially be a good tool for collections. There's a lot of ways that I could see it being incredibly efficient and cutting down on time. I think if you are going to implement it, you're going to want to make sure that you've got a policy that, ensures that you are maintaining confidentiality, data protection, all this type of stuff. It's very difficult to you can have a policy that has that, but it's going to be very difficult to enforce that, right? So I see most contractors leaning towards just banning it. But I can tell you, if you could hire one customer service person instead of 5 using
Yeah,
ChatGPT, then that's where it's going to come into play. So trying to get out ahead of that through policies and procedures is going to be the way to go.
no, for sure. Well, Trent, thank you so much for your insight. And if anybody has any questions, or if anybody is out there that's listening is already using this, send us an email. Let us know how you're using it. If you're seeing success, or if you're seeing some issues that are popping up that we should also talk about. My email is bloomj@bnpmedia.com. I'll put that in the copy down below. But Trent, if anybody has any questions for you, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. Feel free to reach out anytime, Trent.Cotney@arlaw.com.
Sounds great. And again, if anybody has any questions for us, it's roofingcontractor.com, wconline.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free content, especially our e-newsletter, so you can stay up to date on all the great content we're pushing out to you guys, and on social as well, all our platforms. But most importantly, stay safe and healthy. We will talk to you soon.